So Lilian Ngoyi Street, previously known as Bree Street, remains closed as construction and repairs have been taking place since an underground explosion. It was a gas explosion in 2023. Now, the rehabilitation of the street has been marred by allegations of tender irregularities, sudden changes of contractors, and overall public criticism of the delays in fixing the street. But let's now speak to the Johannesburg MMC for Roads and Transport, who joins us now in studio, Mr. Kunene. MMC, good morning. It's morning, yes. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, 2023 July was a long time ago, you know,
Yes.
and I think that by now many South Africans, certainly residents of the CBD, would expect that we wouldn't be in a position where the road is still not back up. But let's start with this letter that has been written by Action SA. They've written a letter to the mayor and yourself, and they want clarity on 194 million rand tender that was awarded. So perhaps before we start there, your understanding of why we've seen delays in the restoration of the street.
First of all, the explosion was a serious one. The damage to the road infrastructure was quite bad. But you also have cables underground, city power cables, Joburg pipes, you have gas pipes. So it's not a project where you just come with an excavator and then you just open up and close. So you have to be very careful. You have to work manually so that you do not end up breaking some of the cables that are not broken. So it was a technically intense project. But we also had contradictions between the previous contractor and JRA, which then led to a court process. But understanding court processes that they take long, I then intervened as I had to do oversight. My job is to make sure that service delivery happens. And that's why I then brought a Step Up and JRA around the table and persuaded them to find each other so that we do not delay the project, because for as long as there was a court case, we cannot appoint anyone else, or JRA can't appoint anyone else. So we found each other, and JRA went through a process of appointing another contractor. And this is where now the problem is. The contractor has started work. We had a press briefing with the mayor last week. We went on site, and we saw that work has begun. Now, there are lies that have been peddled on Twitter that I have appointed a Nigerian company, that by virtue of the board being appointed under the PA administration, I would instruct the board who to appoint. The board does not get involved in a procurement process. I also don't get involved in a procurement process. And let me just read the MFMA. Yeah,
if you'd allow me just for a moment, though, because you talk about you then stepping in and at this point now there is a contractor in place. That contractor, is it correct to say it is Kunene Engineering?
Yes, that's Kunene Engineering.
Okay, so this is where, and I'll allow you the process, because I get the point that you're making around it certainly isn't your purview to look at procurement processes, and I think that's an important point to make. But the issue that has been raised is that, this contract is to the value of 194 million rand, but it is owned by a Nigerian-born engineer, George Olukbenga, and his wife, Pauline Kudugane Adejinmi. Is that correct?
Before we get to that, we have to start with me, because I want us to deal with the lie that I have appointed Kunene engineers to do 194 million. That is the first lie, before we get to that. Now, when you look at MFMA, Act 56 of 2003, subsection 117 to 119, it says, councillors are barred from serving on municipal tender committees. No councillor of any municipality may be a member of a municipal bid committee or any other committee evaluating or approving tenders, quotations, contracts or other bids, nor attend any such meeting as an observer. It goes on to say, no person may interfere with the supply chain management system of a municipality or municipal entity amend or tamper with any tenders, quotations, contracts, or bids after their submission. So I am barred, I am prevented, I am not allowed by law to intervene in a tender process once submissions have been made.
Right. Now,
if I interfere, if I ask questions, that's interference. If I want to know which companies have been shortlisted, it's interference. And the same officials that are processing that are going to tell you, the media and the public, that I'm interfering. You are going to label me as corrupt. So I stand back because the MFMA says I must stand back.
Okay.
The officials do the process, and I only know after the process. Because I'm not corrupt.
Right, I understand.
Don't interfere.
Right.
So what they have tried to do as a smear campaign has actually brought evidence that I don't interfere in procurement processes. Because had I interfered...
We would have said you're interfering.
No, but had I interfered, or had the law allowed me to question a tender process, this company, Kunene Engineers, me seeing a Nigerian surname there, wouldn't have gone even through the first round.
Oh, so you would not have approved this
I would
company.
Not have approved
so
this particular tender.
Mr. Kunene, who did?
So once submissions are made, there's adjudication committee, there's evaluating committee. So you would have the evaluating committee, the adjudication committee. Once they have shortlisted the companies, they ticked the boxes. They will then check the directors, if the directors are not banned by Treasury from doing business with government. So once they check, they find that here is a Nigerian, here is a Nigerian surname also. But as they do the further investigation, the Nigerian male owns minority shares, then the Nigerian female, who is actually a South African-born woman, is married, and she owns the majority of the shares. She is married to a Nigerian.
But she's South African. But
she is South African-born. She is a South African citizen. Now, the Nigerian male, being the husband of this woman, by Home Affairs policies, once you are married to a foreigner, after a certain period, after so many years, you then become a naturalized citizen of South Africa. So they find that the Nigerian, is actually a citizen of South Africa. So it's a naturalized citizen of South Africa. That's why CIPC, a trade industry, their rules are very clear. Once you are a citizen, you can then be a director of a company. The Nigerian male has studied engineering in South Africa. But be that as it may, had the law allowed me, as a politician, as a councillor, to be part of that process, I would have said, no, you are putting this one aside. That's what I would have done.
But why? If you're now arguing that these people are now, one is naturalized, the other one is... So essentially what I'm asking you is, you've said that you would not have let this contract go through, but now you're saying, well, legally, actually, there was no reason why that contract needs to be questioned because of the legal status of these individuals. I
would have questioned it because there's a Nigerian male. Why can't you go do business in Nigeria? The fact that he has married a South African, remember, I am deployed by a party called Patriotic Alliance to be a councillor, therefore an MMC. And our position is South Africans must be put first. So I would have implemented the policy of my party, the manifesto of my party, that we must put South Africans first, and I would have refused that this Nigerian, though being a naturalized citizen, should get this business. I would have refused. I would have said no. There are other companies that have also tendered. Let us consider those companies owned by South Africans. Yeah. That's what I would have done. I am still angry and unhappy at this appointment.
There's more, though, Mr. Kunene, because prior to this contract, and perhaps you can clarify here, because this is the argument that Action SA has put forward in the letter that they've sent to yourself and the mayor. And I'm going to read from it, in fact. They say, notably, the same contract was previously awarded to a company without tax clearance, later identified as being run by Zimbabwean nationals. What happened there?
You see, Action SA is a party that is in government. They must not say things that they have not researched. The issue of a tax clearance was long disputed, and evidence was provided to that effect. Action SA questioned that at that time. And they were told that there's no company that can be appointed by JRA without a tax clearance. Now, let me give you the process. Evaluation committee, adjudication committee. Once that SCM process is done, JRA then takes the report to internal auditors. Internal auditors tick the boxes. They check that the process was fair, the paperwork is authentic. Once they are done, JRA is the only entity that then takes that information, that report, to external auditors who check what SCM and internal auditors have done. And once they have also verified the information, they take it to probity, which is a legal process where now the legalities are also checked.
Right.
So you can't tell me that different committees would not see that there's a tax clearance certificate. You see, people peddle lies on Twitter purely because of lack of information or ignorance or pure stupidity.
Okay, so there was a tax clearance certificate. Because
they want to smear a politician.
Okay.
Being myself in this instance. There is no company. Internal auditors are registered with an auditors association. They cannot compromise their own integrity by overlooking a tax clearance certificate.
So there was a tax clearance certificate.
There was a tax clearance certificate.
But then was this a company that was run by Zimbabwean nationals?
Yes, but again, I intervened. And that is why that company, when there was minor contradictions, I then said, this particular contract must be terminated. It is again the processes that do not allow me to be able to question who is being appointed. My hands are tied. Home Affairs, and that is why Patriotic Alliance as a party is saying, we want to take over Home Affairs, but we want to take over the country so that we can put limitations to the role of foreigners in this country, be it whether they are naturalized citizens or not. We have to have limitations. If you are a naturalized citizen, you can do only 1, 2, 3. You can't do business with government. That must be reserved for South Africans. That's what the world does. Even in the Philippines, you cannot buy land if you are a foreigner. So we just have to put limitations. The problem with the government of the ANC when it took power, they wanted to be money. They want to please everyone. They want to please the whole world at the expense of South Africans.
Okay. But you see, here's the thing, though, Mr. Kunene. You've got 2 contracts back-to-back that have this controversy around foreign nationals getting multi-million rand contracts for, a piece of infrastructure of our roads that is so incredibly important for our economy. I'm thinking about the many businesses that are shutting down along that strip of the road because they simply can't function. Residences and spaces that rent out their spaces losing tenants because it is an untenable situation. So what happens now? What do you do, particularly with the team that you have around procurement? What do you do with that?
I have spoken to the CEO as part of my oversight role. That is why I got a report that explained what has happened. But I have also indicated, remember, I am limited by law to give certain instructions. So I cannot instruct SCM that you can't appoint a company that has got a Nigerian or a Zimbabwean or a Chinese person. By the way, even the DA wrote a letter to us. You have Belinda Echionzoku, who is the leader of council for the Democratic Alliance in council, married to a Nigerian, bearing the surname of a Nigerian. So you have Home Affairs, you have also South African women who are getting married to foreigners, and therefore foreigners becoming citizens of this country and ending up taking business that is supposed to be done by South Africans. But I cannot say to the CEO, go and fire these people because they appointed a Nigerian company. I will be taken to task. But also, if we say, let us cancel this contract, the same is going to happen with the first one. They're going to take us to court. When we're in court, the project continues.
Yeah.
However, I said to the CEO, go and revisit what has happened. I need a proper investigation. It can't be that a Zimbabwean company is appointed, then a Nigerian company is appointed, unless some people within that supply chain are trying to sabotage the MMC because of the position of his political party.
Okay. Let's agree that people can marry who they want, and it is officials' jobs to make sure that there's, you know, they're working with companies that are compliant. But I want to move on to other issues, because you certainly can talk about what you're going to do next, and that's going to be important. But there's something else that's also come up. In fact, just this morning, News 24 reporting on the issue of our traffic lights. I mean, that's been an important one. I think at some point we were talking about 70 million rand that's necessary for us to, you know, repair all the ones that are broken. And now some allegations that some of the non-functioning traffic lights could be as a result of focused vandalism. I mean, talk to me about the efforts that you're putting in place there to deal with that issue.
Okay. The city of Johannesburg has got 2,023 traffic signals. The Gauteng provincial government has got 247 traffic signals. 194 of the traffic signals of the city of Johannesburg are completely vandalized. Some of them, the poles are not even there. That is the ones that we say we need 70 million to bring back.
To repair, right.
To repair, but to also bring back. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when you look at the traffic signals that are not functioning in most streets, they are traffic signals that belong to the province, not to the city of Johannesburg. And JRA can't touch those traffic signals. I'll make you an example. You look at Winnie Mandela. When that traffic signal on top of N1, as you go to 4 ways from Bryanston.
Yeah, it's always off.
From there,
it's always off.
Going into 4 ways, that road belongs to the province. It doesn't belong to the city. But when you cross from Sloan, going into Bryanston, going to Sandton, that Winnie Mandela part belongs to the city of Johannesburg. Now you'll see that most of the time the traffic signals are working this side, most of the time they're not working this side. Because the turnaround of province to fix traffic signals takes a bit long. You look at Golden Highway, that belongs to the province. It does not belong to the city of Johannesburg. I can quote many other streets. Hendrik Potgieter does not belong to the city of Johannesburg. It belongs to the province. However, I met with the MEC in September, and I said, MEC, we have this problem. A few years ago, province signed an SLA with the city to fix their traffic signals, and they will pay them. Now, province owes JRA 21 million from then. Now, I said, MEC, can you arrange to pay what you owe to JRA and sign an SLA with JRA to fix your traffic signals? Because our turnaround time is quicker. The traffic signals, we have put a unit in the traffic signals. Once the traffic signals goes off, the operations center gets a signal that this particular traffic signal is off. During a rainy season, you then have a problem of power cuts. Traffic signals are powered by City Power and Eskom. So some is Eskom, some is City Power. So when there's no power, the traffic signal can't work. That is why now, during load shedding, I partnered with several businesses. I started with Investec to power the traffic signals through their backup generators. So when load shedding happened, we connected to their power generators. Vodacom also came in, Standard Bank, and so on, many of them. So the traffic signals in key areas at the corner of these businesses, they will then be on during load shedding. Now, we have asked them that can we continue to power the traffic signals. So some of the traffic signals are powered from private power of the businesses that have agreed to do that. Now we have sat down and we're identifying buildings, especially in the CBD, where we can connect or install our traffic signals on the buildings themselves so that we don't have to go to the ground to avoid
where people vandalism. And this
so
is
that
where
they are higher. And then we also power them through those businesses, because to power a traffic signal is like powering a laptop.
100. So here's the thing, and you talk about how easy it is to power, and also I'm thinking about then how easy it is to disconnect, because one of the reports that's coming in is now claims that obviously need to be investigated and perhaps for you something to look into. where, and you mentioned, you know, what is it, Winnie Mandela and the N1, right? For instance, who's controlling the traffic there? A lot of the time, it's the general public, right? People perhaps that, you know, aren't very busy and they would then control the traffic. Now there are claims that those sort of traffic controllers that are really part of the public may be turning these signals off themselves so as to add or to gain tips from drivers. Is that something that's a concern for you?
No. I'm not aware of that. But as I said, all our traffic signals, once it goes off, we get a signal. So we would know that it is off and we dispatch. We've got about 193 technicians that respond to the challenges of our traffic signals. So I'm not aware of that. But I do know that, especially during a rainy season or when power is off, that is our biggest challenge. Our second biggest challenge is vandalism. That is why now we have made thinner cables that when the criminals vandalize and take the cables, when they get to the scrapyards don't want to buy that cable.
They're not valuable.
So we are implementing mechanisms. We have gone out on requests for proposals for companies to present alternative ways of powering traffic signals. So we are doing something about it, and we are getting there. We had a meeting with the mayor yesterday in the morning and the MMC of infrastructure, who is responsible for city power and Joburg water. And we're dealing with the whole infrastructure issues. What mitigations are we putting in place? We are identifying 100 traffic signals that we have to zoom in, that are in the economic zones, so that there's teams that are dedicated to those traffic signals.
Okay.
Yes.
I need to squeeze one more in. Kunene Engineering, let's go back to Lilian Ngoyi Street in
Yes.
the CBD. I think recently you gave us a deadline that was August 2025.
Yes.
The repairs or restoration of the street will still be done. Will this contract still be standing?
Which contract?
Kunene Engineering.
By law, it must stand. So it's still standing. They have been appointed. You can only terminate them if they fail on performance. If they fail to perform, we'll terminate them the same way we have terminated others. So we will terminate them immediately if they fail to perform. But as I said, once that process has been concluded, my hands are tied. I want to terminate that contract tomorrow. I want to terminate it today. But unfortunately, the administrators say, but you are exposing us to a legal battle that we will not win. Okay. That's the answer that I got from the officials. That's the answer that I got from legal.
But you're sticking to August 2025.
We are sticking to August 2025.
I'll call you back. I'll call you back.
Call me end of August, and you'll be driving on Lilian Ngoyi.
All right, we certainly hope so. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We really
And by the way,
yeah, quickly, I'm running out of time. Yes, quickly.
Kunene Engineers has done work for public works. It has done work for national roads to the tunes of over 200 million. Remember, when a company submits, it must also submit evidence of the work that it has done. Previously. Plus the letters of people from the department on the company that they must attach. That is how the report, that's what the report says, that we ticked all the boxes, and this is the capacity that the company has. Okay. But I still don't agree with the appointment. I want to terminate them. All right, I'm out of time. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Mr. Kunene, they're saying Kunene Engineering will continue the work, and he sticks to that deadline of August 2025 for Lilian Ngoyi Street in the Johannesburg CBD to be repaired. He is, of course, the MMC for transport in the city of Johannesburg. Let's take